The illustrious Jabba bids you welcome. I'm going to regret this.
I'm Pete Mitchell. He's Peyton Jones. And this is the Church Planter Podcast, brought to you by Church Planter Magazine. Hey, Church Planter, this is Pete Mitchell.
And this is Peyton Jones.
And you are lucky enough, blessed enough, smiled upon by the Almighty enough to listen to this very exciting episode of the Church Planter Podcast.
Wow. So is that part of like the Abrahamic covenant where like God says, I'll bless you, I'll be your God, you'll be my people, I'll make a great nation of you, and you get to listen to the Church Planter Podcast.
It's what everybody should be doing right now, listening to the Church Planter Podcast. So funny, DJ from Refuge Long Beach, he just posted on Facebook, what exactly was the line? It was something along the lines of, if your life was a Facebook post, would God like it? Or would God press the like button? And Ruben put something like, mine would be a meme, and I'm pretty sure I'd get a like and a share.
Ruben is the best at one-line comebacks. You don't mess with Ruben.
Oh, dude, that was just...
mess with him. He will get you. I know there's times where I'll engage him for a little playful, mano y mano, and I know it's like the soft touch. He's got the gloves on.
He's got the gloves
out of respect. He's not letting me have it, but I couldn't stand toe to toe with Ruben.
You know what's funny? I can't stand toe-to-toe with pretty much anybody.
No, that's good.
That's not my strength.
Hey, you notice on my head, since we're doing this live, look at all these sunspots on my head.
I thought that was little spots of cancer. No?
I think it's baby cancer.
Baby cancer.
Yeah, I think.
Cancer is one of those things we're not supposed to make jokes about. I'm just going to...
I know, but this is our friendship, right?
I know, and people don't understand that.
Our friendship. I was just telling someone the other day that, do you hear all that?
I don't know. I mean, barely. I could hear something in the background.
Gold leader, got the chatter. So, I was just telling someone the other day that when you've dealt with tons of death and hardship, you develop, firefighter RN, you have to laugh. And it's not like you're laughing at that stuff. But, man, it's just, you develop a very dark sense of humor because life is kind of dark during that time. And you have to laugh in dark situations to blow that steam off.
So I have a how should I word this? I have a computerized notification system to remind me when people's birthdays are coming up.
Yep.
So it reminds me a week out, and then it reminds me the day of. And then I get to decide, is this somebody I want to do something with, or do I just let it go and don't care about this person's birthday?
You gave me the best present ever.
Well, I haven't given it to you yet. So I get my notification that Peyton's birthday is coming up in a week. And this was, I don't know, day or two ago. I'll wait till the next text or the next email that I get that says, hey, Peyton Jones' birthday is today. And so I take a picture of it and I send it to Peyton. I go, just so you know, I'm giving you the biggest hug because they tell me I can't. I am the guy that when people tell you you can't do something, well, then that's exactly what I'm going to do. And if they tell me I have to do something, I'm not doing that. Like, I won't wear a mask in the store. I refuse to do it because they tell me to.
This is the real reason Pete, by the way, is an entrepreneur. If you ever wondered why he will not work for anyone else. No one puts baby in the corner.
Dude, no one puts this baby in the corner, that's for sure. And what's funny about the whole mask thing, I am like the guy who would love to wear a mask everywhere because I don't want facial recognition, knowing where I'm going and, who's this guy. But it's like, well, they told me I have to do it, so I obviously can't wear a mask. Obviously.
Yeah. I don't know about that though. Sometimes people tell you to do, but I guess it is like a rule, right? It is kind of, and that does feel weird, but I'm doing it just because I don't want to hurt anybody, like that's my deal. I'm wearing the mask.
I know you are a
you
much
told me
better
to.
person than me. And
I'm just saying, I'm like, hey, yeah, you told me that's on you. But if I don't wear it, that's on me. You know what I mean? Like if I hurt somebody or I spread disease, then
because they told me I have to. It's not because of anything else. It's literally when you command me to do something, I'm not going to do it.
You have to keep all of your money and not give any to Peyton.
Do you know? Do you know how many times I've walked into a store without my shirt or shoes on? Do you know? Do you have any idea? I see that sign out in front. I'm taking my shirt off and walking in.
Okay, so I had to change this joke for my children, but I told the ultimate dad joke this week, and I have to share it. I had two. One was a woman was at her husband's funeral, and during the service, a man came up to her and whispered in her ear, "I'd like to say a word," to which she said, "Oh, okay." And so he goes up to the pulpit and he leans over and he says, "Plethora," and walks down. And as he passes the lady, she says, "That means a lot."
That's so
My
bad.
kids didn't get it because they didn't know what plethora meant.
Right.
But I told two, I was like Mickey Taylor, man. I swatted two with one blow. I never remember jokes. I remember one from when I was a kid. I'm never allowed to tell it, at least not till Jesus came in my life. But that's the only one I remember. I actually remember two. One involves a leprechaun in a bar. And that one I did tell my kids, and I can't. But the other one was, and this is the one I had to modify for my kids to tell them. A little boy swallows 10 toy horses, and he goes into the hospital. The parent says, "He swallowed 10 toy horses. I think he's going to die." So the doctor takes him in for an x-ray and brings him out. And the mother says, "How's he? What's his condition?" And the doctor says, "Stable."
It's so bad.
Isn't that good?
It's so bad.
I mean, those are dad jokes. So, you know, that's a good dad joke, because when it's a bad joke and you tell it to your kids, it's a good dad joke, even if it's a bad joke for everyone else.
When does a dad joke become a dad joke?
It's a bad. All a dad joke is.
No. There's an answer.
You tell to your kids.
There's an answer.
Yeah. When you tell it to your kids,
when it becomes apparent.
Oh,
come on!
Didn't.
Come on!
So this is what's great. I met with Carrie Newhoff's team like a little while ago, like a couple of weeks ago for Exponential. And we were talking to him, and I was saying, back in the day when Carrie wasn't popular, and we say, "Oh, let's get that red-haired guy. What's his name again?" And none of us could pronounce it. Therefore, none of us could remember it. So, and we even had him on a cover, and we're like, "That red-haired guy, we had him on the cover." And he was just kind of up and coming. Well, the hilarious thing about that is that we were talking to them, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, back I was there when he came on, and back in the day I was helping him out." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And I told them, I confess, but I go, it's so funny because we were picking their brain, and they're like, "Well, how did you guys get your podcast for this?" And I'm like, "We don't even have a website," because they're talking all about the SEO and all the things they did to promote it. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. From day one, this podcast was a joke. Like, we never took it serious. That's why it is the way it is. And I think of our podcast as kind of like it has a cult following in the church planning world. It's not like we're like big, we're not mainstream, but we have a total cult following. And I find that hilarious.
Do you remember how many times we'd be at a conference, usually you'd be speaking, and someone would go,
back when I did those sort of things,
MOGIV.
Yeah, it was like this. It was kind of like when you watch what's that that Christmas movie, The Polar Express, and it
no, can't relate.
Yeah, you better watch. It like starts this like kind of quiet crowd swell. I had nigh unto that experience with people in the audience going MOGI. It'd be kind of whispered. No one would say it loud and proud, but it would kind of be this like unspoken secret handshake amongst listeners.
I still remember one of the best conferences. It was an exponential conference. It was in Florida. You asked me to attend your session that you were speaking at. And
which happened in Long Beach this year.
Well, you were trying to fill the room. Pete, please, will you please come sit in my session? So I'm at the conference, and here's the thing. If you're a new listener to the podcast, Peyton has gone off many a time about conference speakers, obviously for pastors, who won't crack the Bible open. And so we're in this meeting, and I'm like, dude, he hasn't cracked the Bible open. We're almost at the end of this thing. And then you made it through the whole thing and didn't crack your Bible open. And I wanted to like stand up and go, what?
What is happening?
He didn't crack the Bible. But then I was like, no, that'll get me into trouble with Peyton again.
You know, I have probably had a few moments like that, and I am not proud about it. But that always wigs me out. And it's not like one speaker here and there. But if I go through hearing a dude and he hasn't once referenced a scripture or cracked a Bible, that's just weird to me.
Sure.
I didn't come to hear you, man. It's like Spurgeon, he had mounted in his pulpit a little plaque that said, please, sir, we would see Jesus, from when they sought to see. And he had that plaque in there. So it always reminded him like, hey, they ain't here to see you. It's so rock and roll, man. That's so OG. I gotta mix it up for the younger folk, for the kids,
for the millennials.
Yeah, because I turned 47. I had to think about it because I thought all this year I was 47.
You had to think about it because of dementia. Sure, gotcha.
Oh, dude, so such a thing for me right now, such a thing. But hey, I got something that you don't know that I got to share with you.
Let's hear.
So this is from one of our listeners. His name is Chase L. Jones. And so he's getting a shout out because he messaged me on Facebook. He says, anyways, I've been meaning to, he has introductions, pleasantries and whatnots, which is what we call them. We put them in the pleasantries and whatnot box. But he says, anyway, I've been meaning to send this to you for about a week now. I've been listening to the Church Planter podcast for almost 3 years now. And I want to say two things. Now, understand, I cut my teeth as a young Christian listening to Dr. J. Vernon McGee, right? Like he was on every morning as I was on my way to school. And, in
my house, that's all we heard on the radio when we were going to school.
Oh, man, that's so great. Now, I always believe, if you don't know J. Vernon McGee, dang it, just Google J. Vernon McGee.
You remember when he would talk about David and how many strings, and he was against the guitar because it had too many strings or something like that?
No, I don't. But he would sit at his desk like I am now, and he would just record commentaries on the Bible, and they put them on the radio. And in the old days, they were live. He had some bad experiences with that, which I cannot get into in case kids are listening. He said some things, and I'm just saying he used the old King James version, and there was some parts in there about donkeys, and they didn't use that word, and his wife warned him. And he was so nervous, he was so convinced he was going to get it wrong with Balaam's donkey that he let out a zinger on that broadcast. But They have since gone back and corrected it. Yeah, I can't tell you, but maybe if you Google that, that'll come up. I don't know, but he would be like, I've always believed. You
actually sounded just like him right there.
Yeah, he goes, I mean, every day, we're getting to you, Chase L. Jones, but I'm setting it up. But, every day, and he'd be like, if Jesus was in the business today, he put Weber's bread out of business. It's what he said in regard. And then when he would get all excited, if you ever heard him preach on a Sunday, because they would also play him on Sundays, totally different animal. I mean,
really?
Yeah, he'd be like, when God says he's going to do it, he's going to do it. Like, it was like angry, like grudge preaching, like boom, like coming down the mountain, But anyways, what's bringing me to J. Vernon McGee from this is the stinking, this felt like, when I'm reading it, it didn't feel this way last night, but when I'm reading it right now, it feels like the Bible bus. Dear Dr. McGee, there'd be that guy that would read it before you would get into preaching and be like, Dear Dr. McGee, I have been on the Bible bus now for 3 years. That's what they would call the Bible bus. If you were a listener, you were riding on the Bible bus. Do you remember this?
I don't.
Young people, non-Baptists, hear me now. You have missed out on this. The Bible bus with J. Vernon, Dr. Vernon McGee. I've been on the Bible bus now for 3 years, and then they would share. during this time, I've understood the word of God. So anyways, nobody's ever going to say that to Pete and I, but let me tell you what they will say. Here's what he said. And I want to say two things.
Ruben, by the way, is saying Peyton needs to do a Church Planner podcast shout out with Jay Vernon McGee's voice.
All right. I'm Dr. J. Wait, let me now that you tell me I got to do it, I can't do it. It's like, Pete, you're telling me to do something, I can't do it. No, I can't do it now. This is the Church Planners podcast. No, I can't do it now.
You sound like a hit.
I had him, and now he's gone because you told me to do it. I can't. It just has to come out. All right. So, all right. So he says this. Don't delete me right after reading this, but ... I have never seen Star Wars until this past May 4th, and I've been watching them all. I was told to watch them in this order, and he's doing it in the right way. I know you're machete, but 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, Rogue One, sorry, and then 4 through 6 again, and then 7, 8, 9. I'm about to start 7. But the reason I'm mentioning this is because I never knew all of the sounds that kick off each episode were from Star Wars. Ijaba na nichua.
Do you remember when someone reached out to us, and I remember who it was, and they're like, I think that stuff might be copyrighted. And you're like, I don't think Disney's coming after us for having Star Wars sound bites. I say it's fair use. It's fair use.
He goes, I'm sitting there watching and hear Jabba the Hutt, and I'm like, that sounds familiar. So I thought you'd like that. We did like that. And then he mentioned episode 391, which speaking about what's been going on with race issues, which this week again, holy crap.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my gosh. Like, seriously, man, if you're out there and you are a member of the Black community, I just want to say I am sorry for what you're going through right now. Like, man, and for people that are Hispanic and Asian Americans, like, literally, we see you too. And we know it's no picnic for you either, but holy crap, that, like, I'm still spinning and reeling from this one. And I can only imagine, for those of you in the Black community, how you must be feeling right now, just for it to just not stop and not let up. And, I hate the media. And I know, like, there are times the media will drive things. This is not that. Like, this has just been what's there coming out. And thank God the media has been reporting on it. So, man, I don't know, Pete. This one was tough for me this week. That was tough.
Did you watch the video?
I did.
Yeah,
I did. And he looked so much like a good friend of mine, Sam Dula, and sounded like him. I felt like I was
been
watching.
On the podcast?
Yeah, he has.
Yeah.
And funny enough, Sam and I doing it once where we were out in downtown San Diego and we had to share Apple earbuds. Now, Sam's like
that's right. I think I was on like a Skype call with you guys doing it.
Oh my gosh, and it was so awkward.
And you had to be close enough to him because you're sharing the ear. Yeah,
yeah, we're like cheek to cheek doing this podcast, and it was weird. But he's a good friend of mine. I love that dude so much, and I felt like I was watching Sam get strangled to death by a cop's kneecap, and that killed me, man.
Well, the interesting thing is, I saw some other pictures from the other side, and 3 cops were on him. We just see the one with his knee on his throat.
Oh, wow.
There was another cop on his torso and another cop on his legs.
Oh my!
So it wasn't just the throat. I mean, it could have been pressure on his torso, keeping him from being able to breathe, as well as the throat.
That's insane, dude.
It is. It's absolutely insane.
Well, I'm just, I'm at the point now where I'm just like, okay, if you're white and you're listening to this, you cannot be silent on this. And I don't even think I think we have a duty as white brothers and sisters to stand with and for, like Jesus did, to stand with those who might find it difficult to stand for themselves, because what happens when a Black person stands up in the culture that we live in is, oh, there they go again, getting angry. You know, there they go again, getting, you know, playing the race card. It happened because he was Black. Sure. When a white person stands up, and I know we just mentioned this, guys, it is so powerful. And I just, you have no idea how much it means to people in the Black community to see white people stand up and say, enough, this is wrong, because it validates what they have gone through all their life. So I'll start getting super emotional if I keep talking about it. So I need to probably stop.
Yeah, no, it's just, it is what it is. And it's just becoming more and more obvious.
Yeah.
I mean, it was probably the most brutal thing I think I've ever seen. It was almost like, well, you all are telling us to get off of him, so we're staying on him. Like, that's literally what it felt like.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, it was pride and ego. Very often within the police, their methodology is to be in control. You must always be in control because you are the police. So what gets sacrificed and the reason things escalate is they're taught, if someone yells, you yell louder. If someone escalates violence, you dominate and escalate higher. And so that's why things always go there rather than de-escalating, which we've talked before about the police in the UK, where they're taught to de-escalate situations. They don't carry guns around. There are, like in airports, and there are special times where guns are carried, but they are taught a very different approach, much like when I was a psych nurse. If they talk loud, we lower our voice to de-escalate. You know, it's a completely different way of training. And in America, just at some point, someone needs to address this and say, the way you are doing it is wrong. It goes against human nature. You know, it's not how human beings or psychology works.
Yeah.
And of course, you're going to be hurting people and you're going to be brutalizing people because you are the one escalating the situation, the one with all the power and control to maintain your control. So it's a problem.
Yeah.
And if you're saying you're scared for your life and you're a police officer, then you probably should choose another profession.
Yeah. If
you're not willing to put your life on the line to protect and to serve, which is what the whole thing is about police officers, then it's like telling a soldier, oh, that was okay, you blew away those kids and women because you were in fear for your life. Again, my brother has repeatedly, as a soldier, a combat veteran, said, we don't get away with that on foreign soil. How police get away with that with their own U.S. citizens is beyond me, because he goes, I'd be court-martialed for any, like, we can't even touch that degree of abuse of people as soldiers in another country. So,
yeah, it's coming to light, man. It's coming to light.
And I did not mean to bring us into that topic, but probably a good thing. Just stand with our brothers, unity in the body of Christ. So, hey, Pete. So our topic today, if we can get into it, are you ready? Our topic, if you can receive it, is we're going to talk about the way back. Like, here we are. You know, we're all.
Before we get to the topic, going back to your Star Wars. So this quarantine, as a family, we've watched every Marvel movie. And then we started Star Wars because my wife hasn't seen them all. So they made me watch the first three. I would have done Machete. They made me do it. So we did the first three. Then we did Solo. Then we did Rogue One. Then 4, 5, and 6. And we just started 7 last night. We'll probably finish 7 tonight or tomorrow night.
Have you seen... It's called something like The Studio or something like that, but it's on Disney Plus, and it's a documentary about the making of The Mandalorian. And Dave Filoni. Yeah,
the gallery. I've seen it, but no, I have not watched it. Don't plan on it.
Dave Filoni was the guy that Lucas has kind of discipled and taken it. Like, he is the heir apparent, right, of the Star Wars franchise. So they're going to make him creative director. I know him and Dave Favreau are currently tag team in it, but Dave Filoni sat there in one of those and he talks about the duel of the fates that he says, Qui-Gon, and this is so amazing. He goes, Qui-Gon was different than the other Jedi. They kind of tell you that in the beginning. He's more emotional. He's kind of more like Anakin, but he's kind of reined it in. And the other Jedi don't trust him. They don't really listen to him. And Qui-Gon ends up, he's trying to be a father to Anakin, the father that Anakin doesn't have. He's going to guide him by being his father. And Dave Filoni points out that the difference between Obi-Wan is Obi-Wan can only ever be a brother to him, whereas Qui-Gon was going to be like his father. So the reason that song is called Duel of the Fates is that it's pitting the dark side's fate for Anakin against the light side's fate for Anakin. So if Qui-Gon had won the battle with Darth Maul, he would have been the father that Anakin never had and would have raised him. Anakin would have never turned to the dark side. That because the whole franchise is about fatherhood, right? So that was mind-blowing to me. So the Duel of the Fates it's the fate of Anakin in that one battle. So when Qui-Gon gets killed, it sets the trajectory of Anakin's life.
Interesting.
And then Palpatine becomes that father figure to him. How did I not see this before? Well,
maybe it's because it was such a bad series.
I was going to say maybe because Lucas kind of, but I have a love in my heart for 1 and 3. I know, not 2.
1 and 3.
I just think the
1.
Okay,
what? Like numero 1.
It is hard to watch, but the art in it.
I can't do a podcast with you anymore. 7 years and we're done.
I got to close my door. Sorry, you're only listening to the very professional Church Planner podcast, and they're installing carpet in the next room. Hold on.
Should I do a song for everybody? Maybe I should just,
on the podcast they can't. It's like in space, no one can hear you scream. On the podcast,
no. But I'm looking at people who are watching us, so I was giving them a little show.
That's so funny. So anyways, yeah, man. So anyways, so the way back. Should we do it? Great Scott! It's time for this week's topic.
Oh, that's right. Ben Bisco actually said "Great Scott."
I guess we got to do that by end. Oh, by the way, in Britain, we lived on this road where this guy would he would deliver things, and he would when you hand deliver something,
everybody loves a good film about trade negotiations.
Yes, is that Ruben?
No, that was Jonathan Nicholas.
Oh, it's funny. Trade negotiations. That's yes. So, but anyways, the art direction and Darth Maul was so rad. Like the art in that thing, I think people underestimate how radical that film was when it came out.
Which one?
Really was Phantom Menace. We had never seen that amount of CGI in anything. And we had also never, like they had I remember Watu, the little dude that, like the guy with he's blue and he flies around.
Yeah.
I mean, he was dumb, but the idea that a whole character could be CGI was mind blowing back then. Those droids.
I can't believe you're actually talking about this.
Oh my gosh.
Like the worst movie. Well, I don't know. Which one was the second one in the new series?
That one was bad. That was Attack of the Clones.
No. I mean, in the new series.
Oh, Last Jedi.
Was that the last? Yeah. I mean, those two movies are just the worst.
But you know what? The thing is when I saw the last one, how did this happen? But it made The Last Jedi not look so bad.
No, it didn't. Come on, a slow speed chase in space.
I know it was terrible.
Come on. Hey, I know.
Sorry.
Boy, that's Church Planner Podcast.
I burped on Through the Word to make a point. I was talking about how in First
There's like 100,000 people.
We're never going to get to our topic today. We're never going to get to the topic. Yeah, I guess you have to tune in. You're screwed. There is no way back from this. There's no way back. The pandemic will dominate forever. Will dominate your destiny. Okay, back to Star Wars. So, anyways, no, but I burped on the Through the Word broadcast because I'm in First Chronicles. And I was talking about how in Chronicles, did I tell you this? How they gloss over all of David's sins, unlike, First and Second Samuel?
No.
We talk about this?
No.
So First Chronicles presents David and Solomon as types of the Messiah, but they have to put one sin in there for him. So anyways, but I burped to make a point. It was actually a sermon illustration. It was so, I wasn't sure I was going to do it, and then I just kept it in. So it was a legitimate burp too. That's horrible. It was one of my prouder moments in teaching the Bible.
Oh my gosh. Great Scott, it's time for this week's topic. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
All right, away we swing the trajectory from our bodily functions and into what's going to happen with your local body, the church. See what I did there? That was a segue. If only that was a commercial, that would have been the hotness, and you know it. Don't even argue with me. So, okay, guys. So here's the deal. What's the way back? So you've been pandemic, and let's just go over what's happened over the last few months. We've been on lockdown. Right? Pete has not been wearing his mask. Naughty boy. And what has happened? And
I go shopping, and I go to a black market hair salon. Anything they tell me I can't do, that's what I'm doing.
If it's a speakeasy, I'm there.
Pretty much.
And so I only say that to poke the bear a bit. But here's the thing. So far, what initially happened is everyone panicked because it was like taking the toys away from leaders. All of a sudden, people, butts in seats and bucks in the bucket, those were going away. And so everybody panicked. And what happened was, after a few weeks, people are like, as they do, which we used to say with emoji, they're not our sponsor anymore, so I won't say it. But we used to tell people your giving will most likely double if you go to online giving. And people saw that. That happens. It's a phenomenon. So they went to online giving and their viewership went up. Well, here's what was happening. People were at home, and I do agree it probably reached more people, but I think it reached more Christians, right? There's not a filter on there to tell you who you can reach and who you can't reach. But when you put it out on Facebook, someone's scrolling through Facebook and they go, I've never heard Bob preach, and I've always wanted to, but I can't be bothered to go to his church. So they watch for 10 minutes and hear what you're like and hear what you have to say. Well, on the other side of the screen, preachers got super, our giving went up and our viewership went up. And dadgummit, if that were preaching, you'd be a lucky man or a woman. But here's the thing. That ain't church. And like I've said it a million times, if you can do it online, it probably isn't church. Right? There's just certain things that need to be done in person, like procreating, right? Or giving Pete a hug, right? I can't really give him a virtual hug, so I'm kind of expecting another present. I'm just saying. We're friends. We could talk like this. No, I'm not.
I'm just saying. I've never hugged a man in my entire life, but I will because they told me I can't.
Can we film it? Like, can I have it like framed?
I think it should be a Facebook Live, maybe slow-mo Facebook Live.
Come in. Come on in. Come to Papa. I can't wait. So here's, and I would accept that as the ultimate gift from you. Because that would come straight from your rebellion and not your heart. And it would mean more to me that way.
So Ben wants to know, when are we going to start procreating in church?
Hey, we tried Naked Sundays, man, and it just didn't work.
They told me I have to wear clothes at church, and I won't do it anymore.
You have to wear clothes this Sunday, Pete. So here's the thing. My big deal about this is that the opportunity to go back, taking the statement that I just made, that if you could do it online, it probably weren't church. I would challenge you. What are the things you have not been able to do? And why not major on those things? Like, since Ben popped in and he's a very prophetic fellow, why not go towards the gifts of the Spirit a little bit more? Why not go interactive in your church? Why not, like, all the things that you couldn't do, right? Like, this is my thought. My thought is, once they had a taste, if you've been doing Zoom with your people for like small groups and stuff, cat's out of the bag. People experience that now. They're like, I want to do that. And they're going to keep looking for that. what's happened during the pandemic is we've come up with these terms, essential and non-essential. And I would argue that if this is what you think church is, you have just accelerated your church to becoming non-essential. Because the average person, the reason the viewership declined in the last couple,
it was Barna
weeks,
came out and said, what was it, like 48% in the last 4 weeks?
Yeah, it went down is because people are going, I don't really need that. Like, I'm getting interaction all the time. I don't got to watch a show.
Think about it like this. To me, I'm like, we could have always watched church on TV. There's always been televangelists. And why didn't America just go do that? Because it's not church. But all of a sudden, because it's now on Facebook, we're like, oh, no, this is church.
Right.
It's not.
No, it's not. And so here's kind of the thing is if you end up thinking about it, you will be non-essential. Movie theaters right now became non-essential. I can now rent movies from my house. What I don't think leaders are seeing is what's really happening. We are not able to now get to a point where we're not going to be able to. Sorry, someone's texting me right now, and it's freaking me out. So
tell Barry to knock it off.
Yeah. So what's happening is it's screwing me up. I'm sorry. I can't even pretend it's
okay. Churches became non-essential, or movie theaters became non-essential. Pick it back up.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what cartoon that is where they crank them up or they give them a kick or something. Whoop, I'm back. So, yeah. So what's happening is kind of like in Britain, right? Where we're becoming non-essential. So people came to church back when the Passion came out and all that. They were moved by that stuff, 9/11. Then they came to church, saw what we were offering, and church declined radically after each of those events because people were like, oh, I've been there. I tried it. I don't know what they were doing. Here's the thing. This is the time to go fast and furious for the gospel. This is the time to not hold back. And the gospel needs to be first. If you have a bunch of eyeballs on you, stop trying to be funny. Stop trying to be charming. Stop trying to get people to your church and start preaching the hardcore gospel, right? That is where the power of God lay. And if you were given this opportunity and you miss it, then you are blowing it because this was your one shot to see people saved. And so that's the thing that for me, I'm looking at going with that. If you've got a decline in attendance, you are giving them something that they could get somewhere else, right? And I just think that the gospel, you would have hooked people with that. And I'm not saying if you saw a decline, you're for sure not preaching the gospel. But again, the amount of times I've heard pastors saying, hey, this actually turned out all right because money's coming in and the eyeballs were on them. Those cannot be your metrics of success, right? And I'm scared that not only during this time that could have been a great opportunity for the church has regressed because leaders have regressed even further. And I'm actually scared because I see a bigger decline, because I think people are drawing the equation. If this is what church is, I now deem you non-essential.
I think I would say that if churches are, now I got to be careful how I say this. If churches are saying, okay, giving is still coming in, I really question who is that church attracting to it? Because whose income hasn't been affected during this? People who are deemed essential, yes, but also people who are already making a lot of money and can do all their stuff virtually, but that's not the bulk of the people. Like, we've got a third of the working population out of work right now. A third of America out of work. And if you're going to tell me that person is still tithing on income they're not receiving, then that means they're not going to your church, because that's not happening. That's not going to happen in the real world. So that's a third of America that's not going to a church. If they're all saying, oh, our income's still up.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I've so far just been hearing people that are on unemployment saying, I'm actually doing okay. I might be doing better than I was doing before. So
I told my wife, man, I'm like, you are not going back to work if you're going to get this extra 600 a week, because that's way better. But I just doubt people are going to be tithing on that.
Right. Yeah, it's scary times. People freeze up. I mean, I would never have become bivocational if it weren't for this. So here's the thing. We're a little short on time today, but here's the reality. If you would make a list of all the things you couldn't do in church because of the pandemic, and you wrote those down, and you made that your strategy for when you go back, and you told people it's going to be different going back, because we realize these are things that are valuable, things that can't be done online, and you were able to go back. Now is the opportunity, and it's not too late yet, but you've got to be intentional about this, to go back and to do things like small groups in church, highly interactive. Church Zero talks about this, cha-ching, which I now own the rights to, by the way.
Did you? You got it?
I absolutely own the rights. So I'm trying to scramble my brain to figure out what to do with that book now.
First, we could redesign the cover so people could actually read what the title is.
That is happening for sure. So, yeah, I almost mixed it into this new book. But
are you still going to call it Church Zero?
I'm wondering about that. If I do, I would change the subtitle. So,
what was the subtitle?
Raising first century churches out of the ashes of the 21st century church, which is a great title. But it had this whole idea of a building that was collapsing. Believe it or not, it was 9/11. That was the imagery. In fact, if you go on the print copy, you can see the images of the building, that like ground zero, church zero, restarting, rebuilding the Twin Towers kind of thing, but yada, yada. So, but it didn't really get communicated in the book that's what it was, but that was their concept. So, but Church Zero was just a dumb name. Let's be honest. So guys, today, just write down. And here's the thing. Carrie Newhoff brought up a really good point. And that is that if you're thinking that, don't just start crafting that yourself. Get your team involved. Talk to your team. See what they think. See what they're thinking about this stuff. What have they missed? Bring your whole team in on the vision, and then bring the church in on it. And that would be it. I could give you like play by play. This is what I would do. But yeah, I mean, really, I think everybody's got to figure that out for themselves.
I thought it was really interesting. So last Sunday, a lot of churches locally opened up because of what the president said. And then, our governor still says, no, you can't meet in church. And they were like, nope, president said we can do it. We're doing it. And I thought it was interesting because I just got an email from a local mega church, one that you and I are both really familiar with. And they said that, okay, well, the state, finally said we can meet, but they gave us some rules and we can't have more than 100 people. So good news, the virus doesn't spread more than 100 people. So that's pretty cool. But the whole time I'm thinking, okay, you got like 2,500 people at that church. Like 100 people. And they're like, oh, we add an extra service. Okay. So I think they had maybe 3 or 4 services before. So you added 5. That's 500 people. I'm partially looking at that going, hey, this could be God's way of saying, hey, let's get back to the basics here. Like Hector Mora, he just typed in something kind of interesting. He goes, we may go to the house church model and still do Sundays virtually. House churches will only be for those who feel comfortable. And I find that really, really interesting because, that's like Dan Sams. They've been doing a house church model for years. That's their whole model. And then they meet once as they get all the house churches together, and they meet once a month as a corporate church, if you want to even call it that. Right. But I love the house church model personally.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot more intimate.
Yeah, I do too. And, as I get ready to plant out again, which I keep saying that, I know, but I keep getting interrupted by things like textbooks. And, right now I'm working for Exponential, and they've been like, oh no, you could totally plant while you work for us. But I'm not crazy. So
you're just not going to have any time to do it, but you can totally do it.
Well, here's that's 100% right. I've got to focus on this, and it's good. But I will start training in September in the San Diego area. If you're interested and you want to come to that, you can go ahead and just grab me on Facebook and talk to me there. I will start sending stuff on my email newsletter, which ministryninja.com. If you haven't been there, you can go check that out. And but I'm going to start training in San Diego again. So that's kind of my big deal. And that's tied in with my church plant in a weird way, which maybe one of these future episodes we can talk about what the plan is and what that's going to look like. Because I got a big thing about local networks right now and the power of those. And because I see them in the scripture and I see Paul using them. But with that, what I wanted to do was to ask you, Pete, when you're busy, defying the government, particularly as someone involved with the church plant, how are you going to do all of your financial needs if you're a pastor?
I'm glad you asked. I go to MoGive. Wait, no, sorry, wrong sponsor. SimplifyChurch.com.
You should just say, I don't go to MoGive.
I don't go to MoGive anymore. In fact, it was funny. We had someone reach out to us. Hey, you were talking smack about an old sponsor of yours. Does it happen to be, such and such? Because their service is really fallen off. And we're like, yeah, they got sold. Their service is not like it used to be. But that was pretty funny. But anyway, back to your commercial plug. Simplify Church, Peyton. That's who I lean on to help me with all my payroll needs, my IRS compliance, my tax statements, all that stuff. SimplifyChurch.com.
Wow. That's when I'm really shocked I say that. But well, hey man, you know what? It's been good. And it's been really good talking Star Wars with you most of today and screwing around and talking a little bit about church planning. But church planner, if you're out there today, hopefully we were able to brighten your life a little bit, make you laugh, make you think, and, in our own special way, make you a little angry about things. That's our goal. But in your anger, do not sin. By the way, I read Psalm 4 yesterday with my wife. Man, what a psalm. I'm just saying that David has his greatest hits, and that's one of them. But I digress. So, which is better than blaspheming, which I think we were doing at the very beginning of the. Should I just stop? I'll just stop. This has been Peyton Jones and Pete Mitchell on the Church Planner Podcast, reminding you, if you want to reach the ones no one's reaching, you got to go where nobody's going. 7 years on and dementia setting in, and do what nobody's doing.
Thanks for joining us for another weekly episode of the Church Planner Podcast with Pete Mitchell and Peyton Jones. We'd love to hear your comments on this episode of the Church Planner Podcast. Visit us online and let us know what you thought at churchplannerpodcast.com. If you subscribe to us via iTunes and have enjoyed the podcast, leave us a positive review. The more positive reviews we receive in iTunes, the more iTunes will promote us to other church planners who would benefit from this show. This podcast is brought to you by the Church Planner Magazine, which is available in the iTunes newsstand or online via churchplannermagazine.com.